closing night of the 2017 season features just the Britt Orchestra. And when I say just the Britt Orchestra, I mean your orchestra that's comprised of some of the most talented virtuosic musicians in the entire world. We're so proud of this orchestra, and so we've made it a tradition that closing night of each season really features the orchestra. It's a showcase for our musicians and our orchestra that we all share each summer. The program is super fun. One of the reasons I'm excited about it is, of course, we have 3 composers, and one of them happens to be me. And I think this piece that we're presenting that I wrote, which is called Unified Field, and I didn't set out to write it like this, but it happens to be, I think, the hardest piece in all of the repertoire. I don't know why it turned out that way, but that's what musicians have told me. I know if any orchestra is up to that challenge, it's the Britt Orchestra. So that's why I can't wait to have this orchestra play this piece. It's called Unified Field because what I tried to do in music is show that musical styles from across the world are all speaking the same language. They're all based on the same essential element that gives it life, that gives it meaning, and gives it our ability to understand what the music is about. So I don't quite know exactly where each style or influence is placed in the music, but I do know that you'll find everything from classical and romantic influences, things that sound like Mahler or Wagner, or sometimes even a little bit like Mozart, to Latin jazz, to funk, to bluegrass and folk music from both America and across the world. So that's what that piece is about, and the Unified Field hopefully shows that they can all live together in actual literal harmony. The first piece on the program is one of the most famous pieces that an orchestra can play. It's Gershwin's An American in Paris. And of course, Gershwin was also really concerned with writing music that was true to his own roots as a jazz musician, as an incredible jazz musician, but somebody who loved the orchestra. And sometimes when you try and combine multiple things, it can leave things feeling a little bit disjointed and a little ragged. Gershwin did it in the most original and the most honest way. So when Gershwin quotes jazz in his music, it feels like that's just Gershwin being Gershwin, and it's so true to who he is. And American in Paris is the perfect vehicle for showcasing what Gershwin's all about. The final piece that we're playing on our 2017 season will be Prokofiev's incredible Symphony No. 5. Prokofiev has become one of the great classic composers of the 20th century. Pieces like Peter and the Wolf and Romeo and Juliet, his first symphony, are standard orchestral pieces. They're really spectacular, and it's unmistakably Prokofiev's language when you listen to any of those works. But for me, his Fifth Symphony has a very special place in my heart. I toured with the youth orchestra that I played in growing up into Russia, and we actually played this Fifth Symphony of Prokofiev on the very stage in which it received its premiere. And learning about the history of the work, which was played towards the end of World War II. In fact, they could even hear artillery shells, and they could hear fighting in the softest passages of the work during its premiere. That gave it all this kind of special background and a very intense connection to what the work is about. And I love that even though it was written during such a challenging time in history and a tragic one, the piece is still optimistic, it's energized. And while it has references to maybe a mechanized world and some sections that do have great pathos and a kind of tragic element to it, generally the piece is very positive, and it has a magnificent kind of energized, driving ending. This is so classic Prokofiev, little bits of we often say sarcasm and a sardonic quality to it, but it has the heart of Prokofiev. It has this beautiful melodic element to it. And the music comprises both, I think, a realism and an optimism that we need right now in our own musical experiences. And it shows off the orchestra spectacularly, so I can't wait for the Britt Orchestra to play this work.